Hello and welcome. You're watching Tech24 on France 24. I'm James Creedon. Coming up on this week's show, the clock ticks down for tech companies as the EU's much vaunted General Data Protection Regulation comes into effect. We'll talk to one tech entrepreneur about how his company will adapt to the new legislation. And mirrors go smart. In Test24, we'll take a look at a connected looking glass which can sync with other devices in your bathroom. Thanks for watching. Now, tech companies are scrambling to be ready for a new era in data privacy. As of May 25th, the EU's General Data Protection Regulation comes into effect with sweeping new requirements for companies operating in the tech and digital sectors. Take a look at this report.
Look familiar? If you have a smartphone, chances are you'll have seen alerts like this on opening up most of your applications in recent weeks. It's all part of the General Data Protection Regulation, a European Union initiative designed to protect users in a world where more of their data is online than ever before.
We really are living in a kind of jungle where we are losing ourselves.
For users, the GDPR has 5 areas of interest. They can know how their data is being used, how long it'll be kept, and if it'll be used outside the EU. They can also transfer their data from one service to another or receive it themselves. Moreover, they have the right not to appear in searches, though that's balanced against the public's right to know. Anywhere algorithms play a role in decision-making, those affected can challenge and request human intervention, and all users will be able to contest any violation of rights at their National Information Rights Agency. While there will be a central European body to act as a forum and issue binding rulings, the front lines are at the national level, and any firm anywhere collecting data from Europeans is subject to the rules.
By negotiating the possibilities of data transfers outside Europe, we are in fact pushing other countries to increase the standards. We are doing it in the United States. Now I am negotiating with Japan, Korea. We will start talks with India and Brazil.
With the regulation meaning users explicitly having to grant permission for their data to be used, companies run a major risk of penalties if they fail to comply, up to 20 million euros, or 4% of their global annual turnover in fines.
Now, how are major players in the tech and digital economy responding to the introduction of the GDPR? We're joined now from New York by Rand Hindi, who is the founder of Snips. Now, Snips is an AI startup that builds voice assistants, the largest one in Europe. Rand, thank you very much for joining us on Tech24. Now, your company is typically a sort of company that deals in data collection, whatnot, and is going to be affected by the GDPR. How do you respond to that? How do you feel about these restrictions in terms of how you use user data?
So as a matter of fact, privacy has been one of our core focus at Snips since we started a company 5 years ago. You know, we always believe that if you're going to be touching sensitive personal data, you need to answer on privacy as well. So the GDPR, if anything, is making our thesis and our entire product way more relevant. It's a huge opportunity for us to show that you can have AI and privacy coexist rather than having to choose between either of them.
Well, for you, if your company is placing privacy front and center, we can understand that. But a lot of companies, for example, Facebook, have made money out of being perhaps not fully respectful of users' privacy concerns. So when you're profit-driven, privacy is not necessarily your major priority. So perhaps you're not an example of the norm in terms of how small or medium companies would respond to these sort of restrictions, right?
I agree. I think a lot of companies will have some challenges implementing GDPR. However, for Europeans in particular, it's a huge opportunity, namely because people can now transfer the personal data from one platform to another, which means that as a European company, I can actually access data which was traditionally locked in these other American companies. So I think, if anything, the GDPR will improve the competitiveness of European companies rather than restrict it such as what most people are thinking right now.
Now, Rand, there was an IBM report saying that only 36% of company leaders are going to be compliant by the date of introduction, which is the 25th of May. So a lot of people aren't ready for these changes, in particular small and medium companies. That's a concern, isn't it?
I suspect that this number is probably much higher for European companies who traditionally have been a lot more privacy aware in the way they were building their services. For American companies, I'm not surprised about that number. But if anything, that really shows that we need to reinvent the way that we handle and monetize personal data. Because what was okay 20 years ago when the internet was like this tiny bubble is not okay today, now that everything around us is the internet as well. So there will be challenges, but not for many companies.
Do you think we've gone past now peak, what would you say, disrespect for privacy concerns, that this is kind of a tipping point? For example, the Facebook scandal about handling of data and now the implementation of GDPR. Are we reaching a point where the balance has shifted in favor of privacy concerns?
Absolutely. We have reached a tipping point. But I think it started a few years ago with the revelations of Snowden and all those data breaches and hacking that happened after that. Today, people are not just aware of what's happening to your data, they're demanding that companies give protection.
Okay, Rand Tindy, CEO of Snips from New York. That's all we have time for. Thank you very much for your thoughts. Now, amidst the glamour of the Cannes Film Festival is the annual Marché du Film, the Cannes Film Market, a place where movie makers from around the world come together and do business. Amongst those participating this year were blockchain startups. Dhananjay Kadalkar is obsessed with blockchain. Tell us, Dhananjay, about the applications of blockchain technology to the film industry and how it could benefit from it.
Well, as you know, James, blockchain is a distributed database where information can be safely stored and accessed, but it is also verified. So that essentially leads to greater accountability and transparency. Now, these two parameters are extremely important for investors. They want to know where their money is going. So by using blockchain network, independent filmmakers can attract investors because, as you know, every participant in the network has access to all the information. It's decentralized.
Just to remind our users, blockchain is best known for cryptocurrencies. It's an online way of exchanging
Cryptocurrency
and verifying.
is one of the applications of the blockchain technology.
Right.
So using these accountability and transparency, you can track all the expenditure that happens. So that's one of the applications. The second application in the film industry could be for movie distribution as well. As you can see behind on the screen, this is a trailer of the upcoming movie called No Postage Necessary. It's a Hollywood film. It will be distributed on a blockchain network. It's a peer-to-peer video network called Waveview, which uses the Qtum blockchain platform. So this is one of the distribution platforms. Of course, it will be distributed elsewhere as well. But one of the great advantages of having movies or content distributed on blockchain-powered platforms is that it will be very difficult to download content illegally. Because as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of accountability. Right. So that's one of the advantages of having blockchain or they can use blockchain in the film industry.
Now, mobile phones, smartphones, HTC has announced a blockchain phone. So movies and also smartphones. How does it work?
Well, yes, HTC recently announced the phone called Exodus. So basically, it will have support for all the major cryptocurrencies. But interestingly, the company is also looking at turning these individual Exodus phones into nodes of a native blockchain network. So if you own an Exodus phone, you can trade cryptocurrencies with other devices, with users of other similar devices. So that's very interesting. It will also have a cryptocurrency wallet, somewhat similar to what we saw a few months earlier at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, where the Brazilian company Secure, they unveiled their latest phone called Secure Phone, which also boasts a cryptocurrency wallet. It's something called a cold storage wallet. So all your cryptocurrencies can be safely stored on the cloud of Secure.
So coins and banknotes are going to be for museums very soon, by the sounds of things.
Who knows? But if you have plenty of cryptocurrencies, maybe this is the future.
Right. Thanks for that, Dhananjay. It's time now for Test 24. Now, even in the privacy of your own bathroom, you're soon to be watched or aided or helped by smart devices, Dan and Jay. It's a little bit concerning for those worried about privacy, but this is a connected mirror that respects privacy norms, at least the new ones that the EU is bringing in, right?
That's right. Privacy by design is the motto of this French startup Care OS. And as you mentioned, it's compliant with GDPR. And how do they do this? Well, they do this by storing the information locally. But what kind of information? Well, let me just demonstrate you the...
So it's a smart mirror, a connected mirror, more or less for bathrooms.
Absolutely.
To sync with other devices and whatnot, right?
It's more than a smart mirror. Right. It connects different devices. It can connect to your weighing scale. It can connect to, say, a fitness bracelet. It can connect to a shower head. And all this information can be displayed on the screen. And this can be done only
it's like
with
a
air
hub.
swipes.
It's like a hub for health and fitness in your bathroom, essentially.
Absolutely. It's called Health and Beauty Hub. So if you want to check how maybe there's a mole on your cheek and you want to see how it's progressing, you can use this feature and check its progression. Then there are other interesting features like weight, body temperature, heart rate through all the different connected devices. Then here's something about makeup. So right now...
Is this a useful technique for you in the morning, Dan?
Not for me, but in general, it will be useful for many people, I'm sure. So you just put the makeup product in front of it, and you'll get a tutorial on how to do a makeup. So, for example, here is a lipstick tutorial.
Right. We'll have to tell the makeup teams at
And perhaps the most interesting part is this Care Vault, in which you get parameters of different parameters, essentially, depending on the devices you have connected. So here, there's a connected toothbrush, so you can check out the kind of brushing you have done, which teeth need to be taken care of more. Then there's also...
From moles to molars.
Absolutely. And then the fun part, health, beauty, of course, I mentioned, and there's the fun part of taking a selfie. So you can choose the different shades. And then...
First thing in the morning, when you're just out of bed,
perhaps, why not?
selfie?
Yeah, that's how...
This is
that's the world we live in nowadays.
Makeup.
Oh, my God, look at this.
Can it enhance
I'm not very good at
selfie filters?
I'm not very good at this. Anyway, so this is how the mirror works.
All right, we've run out of time, Dan and Jay. A useful device for people who want a connected start to their day in the bathroom. Thanks for that. Thanks for watching. Do stay tuned to France 24.